What was it like when you first found out about Mattie's scoliosis?
It came on very quickly. We weren't prepared for it. We thought at first we were dealing with a sport-related injury, which was a little scary enough. My daughter had worn very loose clothing, and we just happened to notice it after she had had a incident in sports. So when we took her to the family physician, everything progressed very, very quickly. And quite frankly, when we saw the x-ray for the first time, it was breathtaking and terrifying as a parent. But my husband and I really tried to keep those fears to ourselves, at least in the beginning, until we knew what we were dealing with.
Can you tell us about what specific things were scary for you?
We had historically been a very healthy family, so we didn't have a whole lot of exposure or first-hand experience with surgery ourselves. We knew what scoliosis was, and in our mind, scoliosis was corrected for minor situations with a brace. And when we saw the curve and we knew surgery was involved, we knew that it was more serious than we had known about or known it could be. So it was the fear of the unknown and really wishing that it could be you as the parent going through it rather than seeing your child go through something medically.
What concerns did you have when you considered surgery?
Length of time of being under, in my mind and in my husband's mind, we're trying to think about how many hours will we be sitting there. I mean, we had great care. Mattie's physician sat with her for a unexpected, very pleasant length of time when he talked to her initially about what he thought she was going to need to correct her back, and answered a lot of questions. But as a parent, we knew she was going to be cared for very well, but we weren't sure how we were going to receive updates. Every child is different, every situation is different. So we appreciated the opportunity to get back several times before surgery with the physician to answer our evolving questions, because we didn't just have an initial set of questions. Our mind was going for months leading up to it.
What advice do you have for other parents and caregivers who are considering surgery for their child?
I think that it's really, really worth considering. If it's recommended, obviously embrace it, learn about it, understand what it entails, the good, the bad, the ugly. If you're on the fence, I'm obviously not the patient, I'm the mother, but I can tell you that 7 months in, or after having surgery, her activity is back to what it was prior to getting her diagnosis, and it was well worth it. She has friends in school, and I have coworkers that have children that have had the option of doing surgery or a brace. They've done a brace and they've not, they've wished that they had embraced the idea of surgery sooner, just because the challenges that go along with adolescence and unfortunate, bullying situations sometimes. That's the reality. We don't like it, but that can happen. And I understand that they've made some great improvements with braces, but they're not always the most comfortable. So I would say consider.
What was it like for you during Mattie's surgery?
I'm a sap. I love her so much. We obviously love her, and we knew she would do great. But I'm a control freak, And this is something that was 100% out of my control. So we came into the hospital. My daughter, I think, said that it became real at that point. It did for us as well. We came in, we were welcomed, and that certainly helped. We happened to be there on Halloween. So we got a quick chuckle right away when we realized that surgery day meant meeting staff with some costumes on, so that lightened the mood a little bit. But everybody welcomed us in, explained everything that they were going to do, was compassionate. And I think the morning, you're so busy with getting everything prepared. I mean, it was really early in the morning, but everything went really quickly. We had learned ahead of time that we would be receiving updates, and I was so pleased to know that the updates were every hour to hour and a half. What I wanted to know in the beginning was how many hours can we expect between the time we kiss her and have her go into surgery to when we can see her in the recovery room. And it was a long time, you know, anywhere from 8 to 10 hours was what we were told was typical. So to receive phone calls every hour to hour and a half with updates really helped us get through and understand where they were in the process. And then from there it was getting to see her in recovery. We got to see her. We were warned ahead of time that she would have a puffy face because of laying on her stomach the entire time, which she did, but she's still your child, you know, she looks the same to you, and she was being well cared for, and the staff was very, very accommodating to whatever we needed.
What was it like for you during Mattie's recovery at Gillette after surgery?
Well, I remember people telling me to take some time for myself and to leave the hospital, whether it be just get in the car and go for a drive, or take a walk around the hospital. I'm a control freak, and I like to be around. I like to be present. I feel like I have the need to get information at all times. And knowing that the staff could come in, doctors could come in at any point during the day, usually mornings, but I remember, you know, making my own sort of schedule. That's how I got by, was making my own kind of schedule. You know, if I got up at this time, I chose to stay with her the entire time. But I made my own schedule as far as getting up, you know, anticipating doctors coming in, getting that information, and after about day 2 or 3, because we had a little bit of a lengthier stay, I did take people's advice to just get up and walk around, because she needed the break from me too. I know we love each other very well, or very much, but we both needed just a little bit of downtime for ourselves.
What were your biggest concerns when it was time to go home from the hospital?
Well, interesting enough, I wasn't worried at first to go home, and I wasn't concerned to go home. I was excited to reach that goal. She was offered a chart to use that if she did this task, that was one step further to going home. And my daughter, like myself, is a very visual person. So she began using that chart and checking things off and feeling very accomplished. And we were excited when we got cleared to go home earlier than we thought we were going to. When we got in the door, we felt relieved. We felt like now we could try to get back to a little bit more of a normal situation, but it wasn't normal. We weren't comfortable. We knew we were being cared for in the hospital, but Mattie was more comfortable in a hospital bed than she was her own bed. She went back and forth from couch to chair to bed, and you know, every pillow that we could find in the house. The first 10 days were probably rougher than I had anticipated they would be, And I had appreciated the staff when we were in the hospital, but boy did I appreciate them when I got home. They were available to call, which was great, but just seeing her uncomfortable, but yet knowing that at some point in time we needed to start weaning off the pain medicine. I guess in my mind I had pictured her feeling better than what she did when she got home. The other challenge was once we sort of got over that hump after the first 10 days and she became more comfortable, that's when she was less motivated to get up and move around. And knowing that we had goals in front of us to get back to her academics, whether that be go to school or what we ended up doing was having a tutor come into the house. In order to do that, we needed to have her more physical and be walking our stairs and doing those kinds of things. And I had to push her a little bit. And so we had a little bit of a strain on our relationship there because I didn't want her to feel like I wasn't caring for her, but I was pushing her out of, for her own good.
Do you have any advice for parents and caregivers who need to motivate their child to move after surgery?
Her family physician had said, "What goals do you have right after surgery? Write down your goals." I wish I would have asked more about that. What do you mean? Do you mean the goals 3 months after surgery, 6 months after surgery? Are you talking physical? Are you talking to get out of the house, to do something, to just take a walk? My suggestion, what I would recommend, think about what little goals you can come up with together to help remind your child that we thought before surgery this would be a good idea. 12 days in, we'd like to see you do this. 15 days, we'd like to see you do this. To try to get back at some of those normal activities, because it becomes so easy to just fall back and be comfortable once you're starting to feel better.
So, what are things like now, 7 months after surgery?
Oh my gosh, she's done fantastic. She has done, I'm so proud of her. I always knew she was strong. I think sometimes she gets underestimated because she's so petite and she is mild-mannered, but she is strong. And I think that that's going to serve her well in life. And a lot of it is her. But it's the support of the care team. She was talking with her surgeon, several times leading up to the surgery as far as what does she like to do? What keeps her happy? What keeps her active? And he would ask about that all the time, so that it wasn't a forgotten activity, that she would really work to try to get back to those things as soon as possible. And she has done remarkable. And to look at her, it's hard to believe that it has only been 7 months since she had gone through this. You would think it would have been a few years ago.